us over here. Click on that link right now and come across. Obviously, set pieces have become a new thing in football. And last night, Jamie Carragher was fuming on Monday Night Football, moaning about so many teams now taking long throws. And he had a pop at the bigger teams that are doing it and that have become more direct, saying that the bigger teams doing it, stop it from being an embarrassing tactic. That's also been doubled down upon by Sky again today, and Jamie O'Hara spoke, attacking Arsenal in the process. Let's take a little listen here.
Right, as a classy central midfielder in your day, Jamie O'Hara, are you happy to see long throws come back in?
Can't stand it. I hate it. It's killing the game, especially the Premier League, the product. I mean, it's like watching non-league at the minute, some of the football I'm watching. You know, Spurs at the weekend, territory football, you know, head it out, Danso comes up, gets the tower, starts throwing. It's so one-dimensional. And Carragher's right. Like, I get it. Some of the lesser teams like Brentford, you got a long throw in it, you can cause problems, you can maybe create a chance. But the top teams doing long throw-ins. Like, I can't believe what I'm watching. It's all down to Arsenal. Arsenal started this. Arsenal started the long throw, the set pieces. You know, they've killed the Premier League in terms of, you know, fluid football and enjoyable football.
But Arsenal still play good football.
No, they don't.
They've just tried something different, which is working.
Yeah, and now everyone's run with it. And Arsenal are the best at it. Right? You can't get away from it. Set pieces, throw-ins, Arsenal are the best. But everyone's copying what they're doing. And they can't do it like that. I'm seeing teams do long throw-ins, Tom. You ain't even got long throw. It's not even reaching a 6-yard box. But everyone's trying to do it. It's so one-dimensional. What do you get from a long throw-in? Right, you pack the box out, you throw it, and you might get a flick on, and you create a chance. But it's so boring to watch, and it's so non-league. You know, it's the Premier League.
What are we saying here? I'm going to go to Dan first on this. I mean, Jamie Carragher last night, speaking crazy, and actually also blamed the PGMOL for Arsenal scoring so many from corners by saying that you can't foul from corners anymore. That's why Arsenal are scoring so many goals from it. Moaned about long throws. By the way, Jamie O'Hara is stealing one of my new slogans of killing the game. But I'm moving a bit David Brent there. I'm only messing. But blaming Arsenal for so many teams becoming... This is across the board, you're seeing this now, for being more direct, being good at set pieces, and doing the long throws. What do you take on Arsenal being slammed for going top of the league, essentially?
Same old boring pundits that said the same thing. That said when we were playing great football, but only finishing the top 4, we'd lose to the bigger teams. Arsenal soft underbelly. Arsenal think it was Troy Deeney, no cojones. Arsenal weak. Arsenal are boys playing against men. Now we're men. Now we're physical. Now we can score from set pieces. And listen, Manchester United won the greatest ever Champions League final, bar maybe Liverpool's one, off 2 set pieces. Didier Drogba scored a set piece. Chelsea fans will never forget that header that he scored in Munich, right? What's wrong with scoring corners? What should we do next time we get a corner? Go, no, we don't win the corner. Let's kick it out of play. It is ridiculous. Sky are clearly running out of things to say. Obviously, it was international. It wasn't even international weekend, was it? I don't know. Jamie, anything that Jamie O'Hara says, Jesus Christ, honestly, he's just a bitter, bad pro, ex-Wolves player that's just bitter against Arsenal, and just anything he says, I just cannot take seriously. Seriously, Carragher, I haven't seen it. I would love to see the clip of Carragher because I actually rate Carragher as a pundit. But if he's going down that alley, then he's clear. He's very riled up that Arsenal are above Liverpool. And I think he knows that Arsenal are probably going to go and win the league now.
I'm not going to lie as well. I think I might need 5 minutes to reboot because 30 seconds of Jamie O'Hara talking has just melted my brain. I don't think I've got any IQ left. I think I just need to restart. The geezer makes you laugh, yeah. And he's got somewhat of a point, yeah. Premier League isn't as entertaining and exciting as it was 2 decades ago. However, that's the same pleb that was saying, oh, yeah, we've got the Frank engine now. He's in and he'll sort out all the defence. He'll get us working hard as a solid unit. Now he's slagging him off. Helmet. What are we doing here, man? Listening to that geezer. Jesus, it's painful. Probably what some of the chat think listening to me, but, you know, it is what it is. Don't take away from the fact that Jamie O'Hara is an absolute pleb, isn't he? Absolute pleb. What are we doing here? Oh,
I hear that. On what Jamie Carragher said, this is what he said about we can't show the other clip because there's footage in it, but we can show this one about the throw-ins.
Do you think the success that he had through the manager now, Keith Andrews, in terms of long throws. We highlighted that before the game, but I'm at a situation with long throws where I understood teams in the bottom half of a table, or maybe fighting for he's doing long throws, because they never had the quality to get the entries into the box. Because obviously you need to get the ball in the box, give yourself a chance to score goals. And I used to actually want to see the long throws from those teams against the top teams and see how a Liverpool would cope with it, or a Manchester City who've maybe got ball-playing centre-backs, but can they go and head the ball? And I used to like that dynamic in the game. I am frustrated with the fact that I feel every team this season has taken a long throw at some stage.
Look at that leap, Jamie.
Yeah, you see the change, you see the numbers here, and it's off the scale. And I'm thinking the reasons why. And the reasons why, because some of the top teams are doing it. So then it almost feels like it's not something to be embarrassed about the way it maybe was in the past.
It's saying now that the top teams are doing it, it's something you shouldn't feel embarrassed about. How about you, LB, when you hear this? Like, football has definitely changed in the last year. Your own manager said that football is going more direct. He has become more direct in how he plays compared to 2 or 3 years ago. What do you make of the kind of punditry on this, almost referring to this type of football as embarrassing?
Well, for me, I don't think there's any right way of playing football. Right? And this is very similar, to what people said about Pep. People said Pep ruined football, Pep ruined the Premier League. It's not Pep's fault that other people copied him that can't play football. Yeah, it annoys me when I watch relegation teams in the Premier League try to play out from the back. It frustrates me, but why are they doing it? Why? Because they just try to copy Pep Guardiola. Why? Because he's been successful, the most successful manager in the last 10 years in this country. So that's what they're doing. It's not Pep's fault. Pep doesn't manage all 20 teams. And it's not Arteta's fault, that other people are copying him. People are copying him because it works. Now, do we want to see it? Well, that's up to you. Some people like that old, you get probably some guys in their 60s and 70s who are fucking loving it. Some people don't want to see that. Some people will want to see nice techie football. And I do think there is a bit of a problem in the Premier League. I do think it's a bit slow, and I feel like it's not very technical. But the Premier League is moved away from like the tiki-taka to this powerful sort of like box-to-box players. Even my own sporting director said in an interview this summer, he said, our signings going forward are going to be a lot more physical, a lot more strong, because football doesn't stay the same. It develops and it moves and it evolves. And we're moving away from pass. And we're moving towards a more direct way of playing football, because football evolves. People have worked out how to play against tiki-taka. You just get the ball long and get some rapid players to run through the team. Yeah. So listen, for me, do I want to see every team throwing the ball in the box and doing long throws and playing direct football? No, not really. But that's just because I don't really want to see it. Is it wrong? No, it's not. There's no right way of playing football. The aim of the game is to win the football match. If you think the best way of doing that is to put the ball into the box and play Allardyce ball, then fair dues. Who's to say that that's wrong?
I'd love to see the stats on it, though, because I haven't noticed Arsenal doing it any more than any other team.
Well,
I really would love to see the stats.
That's the average. Arsenal are doing it. I agree with what you've said, LB. And look, I look at it this way: when my team were good, have you boys ever watched football with your friends and when in talking, me and my friends would often this conversation maybe came up a few times a season minimum. If you could change one rule about football, what would it be? And I always feel, depending upon how good or bad your team is at that point, what you would pick changes. So at that stage, United always had 11 men behind the ball. Everyone was in a low block, or we used to just call it sitting back. And I used to say, I'd love to create a rule where you could only have up to 8 of your own players in your own half. And I only wanted that rule because that would have benefited my team at that time. I didn't take into consideration that I didn't think about it from the other team's perspectives, that if imagine all those sides that weren't as good as Man United back then could only have 8 players in their own half, we would have pummeled, all the big teams back then would have pummeled those sides. There's nothing wrong with it. Football has evolved again. And I remember having these conversations on this platform when everybody wanted marauding fullbacks. Everybody wanted fullbacks that were great at attacking. And I said, well, yeah, I get you want that now, but in a couple of years' time, there'll be a different type of fullback. And then we saw it. And Pep and Arteta led the way in the Premier League by playing centre-backs at fullback. And they changed things up that way. There was a time a few years ago where everybody wanted the quintessential small techie number 10s, the David Silvas, the Ozils of this world. Nobody really wants players like that at this particular moment. Number 9s almost went out of fashion. and are making a comeback now. Giggsy said something the other day that he wants to see teams use wingers on the right side, so the right foot on the right, left on the left, and players just get to that byline and cross it in first time. And I think you could actually go for a period where you win a lot of games doing that, because how many teams and defenders are training day in, day out now to defend against wingers who cross on their strong foot on the right side? Everybody's training to cut back, which means everyone can set and then they cross the ball in. And this is all that's happened, is Arsenal, along with a few other teams, have looked at the situation and gone, what hasn't been done for a while? Long throws. What hasn't been done for a while? X, Y, and Z. Let's give it a go and let's see if we can score some goals. Let's see if we can make that work. And they've found a benefit there. They've found a way of scoring. And on the set pieces, which we can't show the clip because they show footage, and you know what Sky's like. They don't allow fair use policy. They're absolute scumbags. But there's now blaming for years, and hopefully you boys heard it the same way as me back then. I used to get annoyed that defenders could legitimately rip people's shirts off and stop them scoring goals. I don't know about you boys. It used to frustrate me they could be so physical. That's gone now because VAR's there and teams are scoring from it. And what I heard from Jamie Carragher yesterday is essentially saying it isn't really fair that Postecoglou lost his job because his team couldn't defend it because the PGMOL stopped you from being able to foul. I've then heard people go, yeah, Arsenal wouldn't score half as many goals if the PGMOL allowed there to be fouls in the box. And I'm sitting, they didn't use those words, but they've just said the PGMOL stops people from being able to, the defenders from being able to stop each other. It's like, well, that's just a fancy way of saying the PGMOL stops you from fouling them. And there's more goals from it. My view is this. Well, buy players that are better at crossing the fucking ball and you'll score from them as well. It's not Arsenal's fault that Liverpool haven't scored from a set piece this year. And I think this is why I don't like the pundits. Because like I said earlier, when I wanted that rule changed about men in their own half, is because I wanted it to benefit my team in that moment. I think Jamie is being a Liverpool fan here and not a pundit. He wants to see an area that Arsenal was strong at scoring removed and an area so that it levels things out with Liverpool. For me, it's such bias in that. It's unbelievable. And I don't want to see that from professional pundits. Jamie O'Hara, he's a troll. I know he's a Spurs fan, but everything he says is shrouded in bias. And I don't want that. This might sound like gatekeeping. That's fan content. That's what we do. We kind of banter each other. We're biased. We love our teams in this way. That's what we do. Seeing the professional pundits behave that way, especially people like Jamie Carragher, who spent years, as you said, Dan, slagging off Arsenal for having no backbone, not being good at the ugly stuff. He also said, I don't know if you saw it Super Sunday, said in the last 2 or 3 games when Liverpool got back to drawing in against Palace and against Chelsea, they should have sat in and been happy with a draw. The same guy saying that Arsenal were cowards and a disgrace for not trying to win all their away games. I just don't like the duplicity in the punditry. If you have a stance, stick to it. It can't keep changing based on who's winning and who's losing. That infuriates me.
Look, Huck to a Carragher, he contradicts himself all the time, doesn't he, when it comes to Arsenal? He just does. There's numerous sort of cases of it. And I think this is just one of them things where you just go, do you know what? Just accept it is what it is. Would I like Arsenal Football Club to rely on a goal scorer, say like a Man City and Haaland, a bit more than maybe, say, set pieces? Yeah, because it does look pretty. You're probably going to get more goals from open play. But in the same note, I'm not going to slag the way we're getting goals, because I've always thought, you know what? And I say this at work and in life, if you can add a few strings to your bow, add them. And by that, I mean, if you can be wicked at set pieces, buzzing. If you can actually make these long throws, cool. They are bloody boring to watch, but it's working for Arsenal so far. I'm not going to 100% condone it, because I would prefer us to have, say, Gyökeres scoring a bit more from open play rather than having to rely on these.
But like you say, it's a tool, isn't it? It's a tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than
right.
if your team
exactly
is
right.
just set up, to score off of set pieces or off of throw-ins and that, fairs. Yeah, I completely understand if you feel, and you know what, some Arsenal fans might feel that way. Fair dues. But if you're using it as a tool, if you're scoring goals and you're playing football, but you've got that weapon available to you, then what are we doing here, man?
Yeah,
I find it exciting. I find it exciting when we get a corner. I don't know, like that Gabriel goal against Newcastle, that was just I was ecstatic with that. That was almost a bullet header. Just, I don't know, there's something about it, scoring them bullet headers from corners that I
just
personally
feel,
love.
like, bro, I pay £150 a month, for Sky Sports, and this is what they're coming out with.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But this is exactly it.
Crap, man. Like,
Again,
why not got some like top ex-pros on there, talking to me about tactics, all this kind of crap, I'm listening to Jamie Carragher talk about long throw-ins and that. I'm listening to Jamie. It's like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here, mate?
And you want to break
tacticals on there.
No, mate, exactly. That's just what people don't sometimes realize. Maybe where they're, I know. Listen, I use Satanta Sports out of the Ukraine, and they pay $3.99 a month. But actually, they don't get any punditry with it. You just literally get the game 10 minutes before, and then it ends straight afterwards. So maybe again, if Sky could give me that option where I pay $5 a month for all the games, but I don't get to listen to the punditry, I wouldn't moan as much. But £150 a month, and there's no insight. It's all, and it's duplicitous. That is the thing for me. There's no insight. It is just what will run. And listen, Laura, who does a lot of the satirical stuff.
That's so funny, man.
She does them every day now, and it's so funny the things that she comes out with, because you just know there is an element of truth to this. And the maddest part is this: when Jamie sits there, O'Hara, and says Arsenal don't play. I remember good football against Newcastle. Nick Pope just made 3 or 4 really good saves, but equally, if Fulham didn't sit 11 men behind the ball for 90 minutes, and I know, listen, Pep's teams have gone through this. If everyone who played City didn't sit 11 men behind the ball, then maybe it wouldn't just be 80% possession to 1 and a lot of ball moving from side to side. Maybe if Fulham, and we know Fulham was so scared of Arsenal. I know people don't like the word scared and Arsenal being in the same sentence because they're sausages. But at the same time, even in the last 5 minutes when they were losing 1-0, Marco Silva's screaming at his players going, why are you guys not attacking? They were too afraid to come out and leave space because they knew what you guys could do to exploit it. How Sky are ignoring that and going, long throws are bad, set pieces are bad. Well, maybe if teams didn't sit back so deep, maybe if teams weren't so anti-football, but then you'll get people going, no, sorry, teams don't have to come out and attack. I agree. The same as Slot moaning that we didn't pick Benjamin Šeško and we went with a tactic that he didn't expect. It's all part of the game. We're all trying to win football matches. Sometimes it's ugly, sometimes it's good looking. But you can't condemn Arsenal for the better part of a decade for not being good at the ugly stuff. And then when they're so good at playing the game, everyone sits back and is defensive and become good at the ugly stuff. You then can't sit there and say, this is bad for football. This is bad for the Premier League. And it's what O'Hara said, this is bad for the product. No, what's bad for the product is the PGMOL and their inconsistencies. What's bad for the product is the lack of top-class punditry that you have. And even like Carragher on Sky versus Carragher on CBS. Why is he so different?
Oh, mate, I was just going to say this. Terry, I was just going to say this, bruv. I swear to you, you just took the words out of my mouth. He said on CBS, Atletico Madrid, when he was doing a game on them last year, I love them because they're different, the way they play. Some people don't like the direct style and the defensive. I love all the dark arts of the game. And then he comes on Sky and he hates it all. He's 2 different people when he's on CBS and Sky. Honestly, bro. It's
I bet people.
Go on,
go on, mate.